What if instead of being used by emotions based on what happens externally, right? Something happens externally and you're affected by it in a negative way, right? You instead use elevated emotions in meditation, for instance, to change your life. When I started meditating in 2017 every single day, I then also, soon after that, adopted a meditative practice. I believe it was a practice that I learned in Dr. Joe Dispenza's book, Becoming Supernatural, where I looked at the past, right? And I was like, wow, throughout my entire life, I have allowed things externally to affect me, right? Now, don't get me wrong, right? We're human. These kinds of things happen. But when we take the focus and the power back on ourselves and we stop externalizing so much, we stop allowing our environment to affect us so much, right? This is where he talks about making your inner world more real than your outer world, bringing the energy back to yourself rather than allowing things outside of you to affect you so much, right? Throughout my entire life, I've allowed myself to be affected by things externally, which have basically caused me, anxiety, depression, fear, shame, guilt, all of these very low energy emotions, right? And so it wasn't until I started meditating and then I started adopting this meditation practice where I realized I was like, wow, throughout my entire life, I have been allowing emotions based on what has affected me outside of me to affect me so much, right? And it's wild because when I started doing that meditation, I started realizing that I could actually change my life through controlling the emotions that I experience on the inside, rather than waiting for something out there to change for me to feel better, right? I sat down in meditation and I was like, I could feel better right now. I could just do this for myself and start feeling incredible, right? I could change my inner state by taking all of my power and my awareness and my energy back on myself rather than putting it out on things out there to be like, how are you going to affect me? How are you going to affect me? How are you going to affect me? I'm going to let you all affect me, right? I'm going to let all these things outside of me affect me. Instead, bringing it all back on me and focusing on that in meditation, feeling love, feeling gratitude, feeling joy, feeling euphoria. Like right now, in fact, I'll do it. I just did it. Right now, I'm choosing to feel how I want to feel rather than looking at things outside of me today, right? In this day, um, like, oh man, I don't want to face that. Oh man, I don't want to do that. No, I don't have to do that. I don't. I can choose to instead be like, I'm not going to allow that to affect me. What instead I'm going to do is be like, I'm grateful as hell. I'm joyous. Um, Euphoria, ecstasy, love, all those wonderful elevated emotions, right? And go about it that way as opposed to the other way around. It's wild when you wake up from this slumber of allowing things outside of you to affect you and to consistently be on this roller coaster of waiting for the fucking highs and trying to avoid the lows. Like every single day, you can charge yourself with elevated emotions. And you don't even have to be meditating. You can be doing whatever you want to do, just feeling it, right? You've had positive I can imagine that people out there have had positive experiences at least at one point in their life, right? Thinking back to that experience, diving into the emotions, right? Happiness, peace, joy, love, gratitude, euphoria. This is why it's talked about that you can experience love within yourself consistently rather than waiting for an experience out there to feel it inside of you. And then collapse time and space and attract that to you, right? This is why you can feel gratitude now consistently and attract more experiences to you that have you feeling gratitude, that would equal gratitude. And so this was the thing that like really blew my mind. It was like, okay, so I don't have to wait for anything outside of me to feel these things. I don't. I just generate these things within me, and then it changes my life. You know, be as though you already have it. Be as though you already have the love. Okay, I'm feeling love. Be as though you already have the abundance. Okay, I'm grateful. Right? People, we've been taught, and I understand why. I totally understand why. But we've been taught to wait for things outside of us to feel something. Right? Cause and effect. It's the Newtonian model of reality. We've waited for we've literally played this game of just waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting for something to happen outside of us for us to feel something, rather than um, following the quantum model, which is causing an effect. Right there's cause and effect, and there's causing an effect. Right, when you cause when it's cause and effect, it's more so you waiting for something outside of you to feel something, to experience something, right? When it's causing an effect, it's you doing something first, being someone first, feeling something first, to then attract, right? You're causing an effect. And it's fascinating too, because like I remember when I started adopting this meditation after learning meditation on a daily basis. um it was just so powerful, because it was like, oh, I don't have to wait for things outside of me to change for me to feel differently. I can feel differently and then attract based on that, right? And the most beautiful thing about this so far, honestly, is that like my life has just changed in a much more positive way, because I'm choosing the emotion rather than being used by the emotion, right? So, wow, I really liked how I said that actually. I'm choosing to feel gratitude rather than being used by depression. And it's not like I'm just neglecting whatever it is that caused the depression. I'm working through my shit actively. Um, I'm aware of my shit. I'm aware of, my trauma and everything. I'm working through all of it. But at the same time, making sure the mic's still there. At the same time, I'm also recognizing it's like, okay, well, that's been familiar. I'm not going to choose that anymore, right? Um, and instead, just being present with each experience in life, being present to the moment, not worrying about the future, not worrying about the past, just being present, right? That's all there is here, is the present moment. And I can feel anything that I want to in this moment, and I can also attract based on what it is that I consistently feel. So consistently choosing to put myself in that elevated state is the goal. It's the power. But I'm not doing it as a means to an end. I'm doing it because I enjoy it. Right? I'll end off with this because I think it's important to understand this. Um, you don't need a reason to be happy, but choosing to be happy because you prefer that as your general state can be the reason. I'm choosing to be happy because I want to, because that's who I am. That's how I see myself. Yeah, I fell asleep last night in meditation, envisioning myself as who I see myself to be, right? And this is it. And when I say this, I'm not referring to anything physically. I'm just referring to this capacity of generally experiencing elevated emotions consistently. It's fucking powerful.